Good morning and welcome to Thoughts and Updates in what has become increasingly a mad world. We are sitting in a lovely weekend. The sun is going to be shining once again. It's going to be a day where people are going to want to go out and spend their time. And here I am on the balcony, on the veranda, watching the sun come up. And it's a lovely day here in sunny Kirkintilloch, and a day that people will want to go out and enjoy it. And of course, the instructions quite clearly from the Scottish Government is stay at home. We don't have the pithy slogans of save the NHS and all the rest of it, but I did notice yesterday as we were off to get our shopping that stores selling hardware are open, and the Metropolitan Police Federation this morning have come out to say, despite what the Home Secretary for the British government, the UK government, said last night, can't see why hardware stores happen to be essential services. Nor necessarily can I, in terms of selling directly to the public. What we also noticed yesterday was we went down the Cowgate in Kirkintilloch, which serves now as the High Street, after the town planners decided to turn the whole thing 90 degrees and ruin, as I understand, I wasn't here at the time, but locally it is believed to have ruined the high street as was, that there was massive numbers of people standing outside one of the wee shops selling hanging baskets and flowers. And, well, I say hundreds, there was probably about 20 of them, which just seemed exceptionally odd in these circumstances and these times. And there is, at times, mixed messages coming out from the British government, and I don't think they are necessarily coming out in mixed ways from either the Welsh or the Scottish government. However, one of the things that the First Minister had to address was the whole thing about injecting yourself with disinfectant because of a sarcastic, I've done bunny ears, I hate that, well, it's Donald Trump. Where do I begin? A President of the United States who was challenged by a reporter saying, Mr. President, you're the guy people look up to. Why are you saying these things that you think might be a solution? You know people are potentially going to go and do it, which is to inject themselves with bleach or disinfectant to find out if it kills the coronavirus, because you just said it kills it in 1 minute. It's not the behaviour of a leader. But we've been here so many times before, and we're getting into November, and getting closer to November when the American presidential elections are supposed to happen. Are we going to see a return of President Bush, or are the Americans going to do the world a favour and themselves a favour, more importantly, and look at Joe Biden as a decent alternative? I'm not sitting here thinking that Joe Biden is a Barack Obama. I'm not sitting thinking he's a charismatic character. He's not a Kennedy. He's not anything that's necessarily going to change and alter radically a lot of what is happening in America, except one thing, and that is he's a far, far better leader. But the comparison should not be being made. Nobody should think of Donald Trump as an individual who has the ability, the capability, the nuance, the intelligence to lead a family picnic, never mind a country. Over to you guys. This week, back in lockdown, we managed to get out on Wednesday, which is the first time we've been out for 2 weeks. Lorna came out with me yesterday to go and get the shops. First time she'd been out in 4 weeks. This has been occasioned by the fact that our daughter, who's a nurse, has had COVID-19, we believe, and therefore we've been in lockdown. She's recovering, coming out the other end of it. Leila has also been unwell too, so it's been a house that it's been a bit down rather than up at times, though I have to say both our spirits have been very, very good. And yesterday, Kira was talking away 100 to the dozen, which means she's well on the way to recovery. It's been a quiet house. Well, she's not been well, but that having been said, it's great to see her back. She is an NHS worker. She's a nurse, and she was one of a few who were asked to go and work in the front line, and she's not been able to do that quite yet, but she will go and do it, and we'll do that with a tremendous amount of pride in what she's doing, because I know from the work that I do and the staff, that's not me, it's other staff who are going in, and I find myself a bit embarrassed, because I do have one of them badges that will allow me to get the front of the Tesco queue, that will allow me to get into the supermarket at certain hours. Feel that the work that I'm doing, I'm not at the front line, I'm not doing the work that others are doing in the company I work for, where they are working frontline with young children and kids and young people. So I feel a bit kind of embarrassed by ever using it. I've used it once, and that, I think, is because of my admiration to the people who have done it. We have seen a large number of people who get up every morning, get out into their cars, go in to do a day shift, go into the back shift at late afternoon, go and do a night shift, and they're continuing to do it. And that, in a sense, is just incredibly admirable. And Ciara's going to be one of those workers, not that she hasn't already been, because her final year was very much practice based, and she'll be away out with her absolute pride and blessing to go and fight this. So getting out on Wednesday was great. Getting for a walk, getting to go down to the town, getting out to the shopping yesterday, not to do any shopping, just to click and collect. I can't get on to click and collect, dear Tesco. Keep telling us you're letting thousands more slots go, and the next one I've got is in 3 weeks' time. Can I get one just now? Can I get one in Sainsbury's? Can I get one in Morrison's? Can I get one in Asda? Bizarrely, get one in Iceland during the 2 weeks from absolutely nowhere. May have to do that again. So we are in lockdown, and I think a couple of weeks ago I was talking about, I wonder how many people are going to actually do, that thing, which was they were going to write the book they had talked about. And I've found writing just as difficult and easy as I would normally, but I have been. I've done a piece yesterday for Talking Boys, which was all about social media, and the fact that Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney have been caught out by it. Devin Haney by an interview that then went viral, and Billy Joe Saunders just simply by doing a video showing people how to belt their partner and get away with it, which was put up on social media and went viral, which was just horrendous. Saunders has had his licence revoked, though he's going to go and box in the United States, and I've got no doubt that Nevada, for example, will give him a licence. They did to Floyd Mayweather Jr. when his conviction for domestic battery was delayed for 3 months for him to go to prison so that he could fight, because the state of Nevada needed the cash, and money came before any form of justice. And I think that's in essence what probably is going to happen with Billy Joe Saunders. Rigside Report. Now, I missed out last week what I'd done, and it was a fascinating thing that I did, because Brad sends me 4 boxers every now and again to go and look at, and I mix them with 4 of my own. And this week I did Kirkland Laying, a real riches to rags story which would break your heart. He's now, I believe, in a nursing home in Yorkshire, age 65, having beaten Roberto Hands of Stone Duran in America, in his backyard, over 10 rounds, and then disappeared for a year. Drink, drugs and women believed to be the reason why his career stalled. Last week the fascination was Murray Sutherland. Now, Sutherland also fought a Spinks brother, and my memory's beginning to get bad here, I think it was Duran as well. But he was born in Edinburgh, never fought in the UK, was moved, went over to Canada to chase a job as a fitter. Whilst he was over there, continued the boxing that he started in Scotland, and nearly won a world title. But no doubt had one of those wonderful Scottish accents in a strange place. Fascinating story. I've also been following up on some of the things that Brad had given. We talked about me looking at the 1980 American Olympic team and the tragedy that befell them, and looking a little back at who were the boxers who lost their lives in a lot airplane disaster in Poland, which it's a bit like the 1954 Munich air disaster and Manchester United, and I can see a lot of parallels in there. But this resonates a lot, not just because, of course, it was the year that the Americans and many other countries boycotted the Moscow Olympics. And there are kind of parallels with some of the stuff going on just now because, of course, the reason they boycotted the Olympics was because the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. So it's an interesting period of history, and it's an interesting period to go and investigate. As well as the boxing, what I've been doing is a bit of football stuff, which has been really fun. Scottish Football Supporters Association have launched not one but two surveys, one on youth football, one on reconstruction. Once again, fans are being left to the wayside without being involved in any sort of debate in the reconstruction unless they organise themselves. So the Scottish Football Supporters Association have done that. I've also written another one of my fanciful pieces, which looks specifically at the spat that happened during the week between Chris Sutton and Michael Stewart on BT Sport, and I've stuck the two of them in a relate counselling session for same-sex couples, but taking the words that they used on the radio as the basis of their discussion. And even if I do say so myself, it made me chuckle. This is after the Dundee one last week and the original one, which is up in the SFSA website that I did a couple of weeks ago, which again was about reconstruction and the dastardly plans of Rod and Neil, the two people at the helm of the SPFL. So there's been a little bit of that. I've also got back into reading, and it's a big thing for me. It's been interesting. I'm just trying to remember who said it during the week. I have quoted the idea in one of my articles this weekend that the way out of poverty for the working class tended to be by your feet, football, by your artistry, song, music, or acting, or by your fists through boxing. And somebody wrote that it wasn't that. And it threw me a little because what they said is something that I passionately believe. He said the route out was libraries. They became the universities for the working classes, and they were very much the universities for the working classes. And this week I have been finishing off reading one of these Keyhole Crimes, Simon Brett, Charles Paris, an actor turned amateur sleuth. I came across Charles Paris by listening to Bill Nighy in one of the podcasts that I listened to, which BBC Sounds, it's BBC Radio 4 Extra every morning at 6 o'clock will do a serial, which tends to be a crime serial because I'm a bit of a crime buff and nut. I'll listen to it, not religiously, but often. And Charles Paris became a character I'd never heard about, and Bill Nighy plays him languidly well. And so I went off and I found out a little bit more about the guy Simon Brett who wrote the books originally, and these are set in the 70s and 80s, so it's another time of great joy for me to go and remember what it was like way back then. And reading's been a great comfort. I've also finished one of the books that I was reading for a long time about the Airdrie United Clydebank saga, going back to when Steve Archibald had attempted to take over Airdrieonians, and Airdrie had gone into administration, liquidation. Clydebank had as well, and so on, taken from the two different perspectives, which is fascinating in Scottish footballing terms, given what may happen now. Elgin City have come out and said, we might not survive if we don't see an extension of the furlough scheme beyond June. There are other Scottish clubs who are going to go to the wall. It's at a point where there is a major expansion going on in the lower leagues. The Lowland League is taking in a lot of the junior clubs for a West of Scotland League and an East of Scotland League that will create more of the pyramidic structure, which would be absolutely ideal and brilliant for Scottish football, and would start to see a real movement between those who played in junior football and played in non-SPFL football, having a way in to improve the quality of what we've got. But what also came to mind with Charles Pallas and the fact that he was an amateur detective but an actor has been Alibi. And let me finish with a degree of pride that I had. Talked about pride with Ciara, and there's nothing that will come close to that at all. But going way back, Alibi have done two original pieces of drama. One, Traces, that had a Kieran Alexander Stewart in it, which was the first product of Ayrshire Youth Theatre, and the second, Scarlet and the Duke. I think I got the name wrong last week, which has got Stuart Martin in it, product of Ayrshire Youth Theatre. We weren't that bad. Well, as the sun is not quite over the Yardarm, but it is quite nippy out here, and it's time for me to boil a kettle and have more coffee. More of that next week. Have you been buying more online than ever before? I've got a reputation in this house for being the person who's got more parcels coming in than Postman Pat. However, some of the stuff that I've been getting has been absolutely ideal and great. And I'll have a wee chat about that next week. So until then, bye for now.